بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما.
O Allah, help us learn what is beneficial to us, help us benefit from what you have enabled us to learn, and increase our knowledge.
Alhamdulillah, today we are going to discuss the concept of flexibility or declension of ism. As we have learned that i'rab of an ism changes due to change of its role in the sentence. And in the case of a singular ism, this change is reflected through the haraka of its last letter. That is, when a singular ism is in rafa, its last letter has dhamma. When it is in nasab status, its last letter has fatah. And when it is in jar, its last letter has kasrah. This change of haraka from dhamma to fatah and kasrah of the last letter of a singular ism is called declension or flexibility of the ism. Declension of ism are of two types. Number one, mu'rab or declinable. Number two, mabni or indeclinable. Let's look at number one, mu'rab or declinable. If change in the status of a singular ism is visible, that is, you can clearly see that with the change of its role i'rab, the haraka of its last letter is changing, we call it a declinable ism or mu'rab. Mu'rab is further divided into two subcategories. One is called Munsarif and the other one is Ghayru Munsarif. Let's look at Munsarif or fully declinable or Triptote. Please note, to be Munsarif is the default position of an ism. About 85% isms belong to this category. All the Arab names are Munsarif or Triptote or declinable. A singular mu'rab ism is called Munsarif or fully declinable or Triptote if, firstly, its last letter take kasrah in its jar status. Secondly, it may take Tanveen as well. For example, ism Muslimun, it has dhamma when it is in rafa state. In nasab, it becomes Musliman with fatah, and in jar, it becomes Muslimin with kasrah. We will say that the ism Musliman is Munsarif or fully declinable or Triptote because it accepted kasrah when in jar and it is also accepting Tanveen. Let's look at Ghayru Munsarif or Mamnoon min as-sarf. This is also called partially declinable or diptote. There are some mu'rab ism, they are declinable in the sense that haraka of their last letter do change with the change of their status, but first, they don't take tanween or kasrah. So basically, they look the same both in their nasab and jar status. That is, they have fatah even when they are in jar status. For example, the ism Ibrahim in rafa, it will be Ibrahimu. In nasab, it becomes Ibrahima. And in jar again, it doesn't take kasrah like Ibrahimi. Instead, it remains Ibrahima. Secondly, it doesn't take tanween in any of its forms. For example, you will never find it as Ibrahimun or Ibrahimin. There are about 13% isms which falls into this category. They are non-Arab names, some masculine names, some feminine names, some names of places, and some words on a particular pattern. We shall discuss all of them in details. But first of all, let's look at non-Arab names. Non-Arab names. For example, Firaun, Ibrahim. In Quran, we only have 4 prophets with Arabic names: Shu'aib, Hud, Salih, Muhammad. Peace be upon all of them. They are Triptote or Munsarif. All the rest of the names in Quran are non-Arab names and therefore partially declinable or diptote. But if a non-Arab name has only 3 letters and with sukun on its middle letter, then it becomes fully declinable and therefore can take Kasrah and Tanveen. For example, Lutun, Nuhun. From the Ghayru Munsarif or partially declinable list, we have covered non-Arab names. Let's look at the other 4 types in the list. Masculine names ending with round ta marbuta or an, for example, Hamza, Talha, Uthman, Adnan. Feminine name, for example, Zainab, Khadija, Maryam. Names of places, for example, Pakistan, Sydney, Melbourne. But if the name of a place has only 3 letters, then it can take Kasrah and Tanveen, for example, Misri. Words on a particular pattern, we will learn them later. When al is added to such isms, then they can take Kasrah. For example, the ism Pakistan is the name of place, so it's partially declinable and hence doesn't take Kasrah. But if it comes with al at the start, then it can take Kasrah as well. Example, al-Pakistani. Number 2, Mabni or indeclinable. Those isms which always look the same in all forms of their status, that is Rafa, Nasab or Jar. For example, the ism Hada will always stay Hada. Either it's in Rafa form, Nasab form or Jar status. Please note, the Mabni isms do perform the roles of Rafa, Nasab or Jar. But in their appearance, they always look the same. Perhaps only 2% of isms fall under this category. For now, please remember that following 3 types of isms are Mabni. Number 1, pointing isms, Ismul Ishara, in singular and plural forms. Number 2, relative pronouns, Ismul Mausula, in singular and plural forms. And number 3, ending with normal alif and alif-e maksura. For example, Musa, Isa, Huda, Zakaria. Let's look at the summary of declension of ism. Mabni, declinable or mu'rab. There are 2 types in it. One is called Munsarif, fully declinable. The other one is Mamnoon min as-sarf, partially declinable. Munsarif can take Kasrah and Tanveen. It has 3 forms, that is Dhamma in Rafa, Fatha in Nasab, and Kasrah in Jar. All Arab names fall in this category and majority of isms are in this group. Mamnoon min as-sarf, partially declinable. It can't take Kasrah and Tanveen, except with al or 3 letters names. Has only 2 forms, that is Dhamma in Rafa, Fatha in Nasab, and again Fatha in Jar as well. Examples are non-Arab names, names of places, feminine names, words on a particular pattern. Mabni, indeclinable. They look the same in Rafa, Nasab, and Jar. Example, pointing words, relative pronouns, isms ending with normal alif, and alif-e maksura. So I hope you found it useful, but I would strongly suggest that you watch this video at least 2 or 3 times.
سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.